For more on the game against Alabama on Monday night, let's bring in former Buckeye Joshua Perry. You can also see him on the Big Ten Network. Joshua, this game, I mean, once again, the Buckeyes are going to be an underdog. We saw them go underdog to win their last national championship. What odds do you give the Buckeyes that they can conquer the mountain that is Alabama?
I think it's a pretty good shot. And you talked about being an underdog. I think that mentality is big. When you look at Ohio State teams in recent history that have been underdogs, they've absolutely performed. I can remember back to my time at Ohio State, we weren't underdogs very often. We never lost as an underdog. And so it's the motivation aspect of preparing a team to go into an atmosphere where they're doubted and people don't believe in them. And I really do think that players who are invested and have a lot of pride feed off of that. But then you start to dig into the tape and you look at the way Alabama's constructed. They're going to score points, people. So when Alabama gets a couple of big plays, when they get the ball in the end zone, do not be surprised because they have a ton of weapons on that offense. They've got three of the top 5 Heisman vote getters. Like it's come on now. They got some guys who can move the ball, but when you look at their defense, there'll be an opportunity for Ohio State to score a lot of points too. And we saw what Ohio State was able to do against the Clemson defense that a lot of people thought very highly of. I think that they can replicate that performance. It'll come down to taking care of the ball. It'll come down to guys coming up with some 50-50 plays, but it's all out there.
Yeah, I think that really is the key there. This team is going to score on Ohio State. I can't see this being a 17-10 game. I don't think we expect that. So your confidence level in that defense, because it has been a question mark at times. But Joshua, it's weird. You play defense. You know that a good defensive game might be 34-28. You might have played good. I mean, the rules of college football are such, they're going to score points. So are you confident this team can get 2 takeaways or a 4th down stop, something like that? Because I think it'll take maybe 5 good plays out of the defense and not 4 good quarters, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I look back to Ohio State in their biggest games defensively. They have taken away the run. When you look at the Indiana game, they took the run away from Indiana. When you look at Northwestern, they did the same thing, took the run away from them. And then you look at Clemson. Clemson did not rush the ball very well. And so if Ohio State can make Alabama one-dimensional, it gives them a lot better of a chance to be able to defend. And then you talked about it. It's coming up with maybe a turnover. It's coming up with a 4th down stop in a pivotal moment. And I think Ohio State can absolutely do that. One thing that's going to be important is for the defense to keep the ball in front of them. Give yourself another down to play. And that was something that I felt like they did a pretty good job of against Clemson. And you look at Trevor Lawrence, he had about 400 yards passing. You would say that's not necessarily a great day, but when you tackle the guys and you're able to play another down, it gives you a chance. And so I think that's Ohio State's mentality going in.
Shaun Wade has obviously been the main cornerback this year. He's expected to be a first-round pick. He will see a lot of Devontae Smith, who just might be the best player in college football. So how do you see that matchup going? And do you think Shaun Wade on an island is able to handle him, or do you have to roll other guys his way?
I look at Devontae Smith and I legitimately ask if anybody in college football can cover him, because he's one of the most explosive players I've seen. And it's the speed, it's the route running ability. And then the quarterback who's throwing him the football is a really good player too. So when I look at Shaun Wade, he's definitely going to have his hands full. I think he needs to get physical, get in his face a little bit. And then to your point, I think Ohio State's going to have to roll a couple guys over there and really switch it up with some of the zone coverages. You know, when you're playing man to man, it looks the same as 3 deep. Trick him a little bit. You know, make sure that you're switching up the looks so he's not able to just know every time what kind of coverage he's getting and he's able to attack it. But that's definitely going to be a big matchup. Like I said earlier, if you take away the run, it makes it a lot easier to defend the pass.
Every single week, Nick Saban has the advantage when he looks across the sideline at that other head coach. But I think this is an interesting one, Joshua, because Ryan Day is a new blood guy. Nick Saban's an old school guy. Do you think Ryan Day can coach or outcoach Nick Saban?
He outcoached Dabo Swinney and his staff 100%. I don't think it was close in terms of the coaching battle. I think Ryan Day is up there. He's one of the brightest minds in college football, period. I think he's assembled a great staff, and I think he's got a bunch of conscientious players who understand how to take coaching, and that's a huge part of it. And so the culture that's developed there and the directives that the players are given, I think that he'll be able to go out there and make the adjustments that are necessary. And it's going to be a great coaching. I mean, this is going to be one of the games. You know, you're talking about 2 blue blood marquee programs. You're talking about 2 of the best coaches in the game, talking about great quarterbacks, great receivers. You're talking about defenses that'll give you some exciting plays. It's one of those battles.
Steve Sarkisian, the offensive coordinator at Alabama, is now the new head coach at Texas. Does that matter at all in this game? when you have a guy whose mind may have been elsewhere over the past 7 days.
It becomes extremely interesting. Nick Saban, I think, is one of the best at making sure that his assistants understand that they have one singular job to do, and then when they're done with that, they can go do whatever they want to do. So I don't think it's as big of a deal. And Nick Saban is used to having to deal with that exact situation. But sometimes your mind definitely wanders a little bit, and the preparation maybe falls off because you're making phone calls and, just sending emails and all the different stuff that you're not typically doing. And so maybe that is a built-in advantage. And we saw some coaching advantages for Ohio State just based off of the COVID protocol and how that made a difference in the game. And I think it was huge because Clemson's offensive play calling wasn't in rhythm. Maybe we get a situation where somebody is physically present, but they're not mentally present, and the offense doesn't click in rhythm.
You are the perfect person to ask the following question because you were a part of the last championship team. I remember when you guys beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. My main concern was, do the Buckeyes feel like they just won their championship? Because there was so much hype, and it almost felt like Oregon was an afterthought at that point. Is there any concern about this 365-day revenge story? Then you just wallop Clemson, and now you have to play a better team right after that.
There is concern because of the physicality of the Clemson game in my mind. I don't think the mental concerns are there. Like I said, this is a team that's very mature. It's a culture that's strong. It's a head coach that knows exactly what he's doing and is very competitive and likes to have the guys prepared. What I worry about is the physical toll of the reps that were taken in the semifinal game. And when you compare that to Alabama, really, they had a way easier game. Some people were saying, well, Alabama got a bye against Notre Dame. And, it wasn't a bye, but the game wasn't nearly as physical. The guys weren't running as fast because, you're not covering elite speed guys from Notre Dame. They don't have elite speed guys in the secondary. In Ohio State, they had to deal with some elite speed that was on the other side of that game. So it'll be very interesting to see how they take care of their bodies. It's going to be huge over the course of the week when they come out to see, did they take care of themselves? But I think that's probably the bigger thing. The mental aspect of the game, I think they'll have taken care of.
We talked a little bit about Ohio State's defense against Alabama's offense, but you said Alabama does have issues at times. We've seen them let teams put up a big number. How do you think Justin Fields, Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson will match up against an Alabama defense?
They match up against everybody. I said it about Devontae Smith. I don't know if there's a guy in college football who can guard him. I don't know if there are guys in college football who can guard both Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Alabama's got a really good player in Pat Surtain, and he'll be able to lock down one of those guys. He's supposed to be the number one corner in the country, but there's nobody who can lock both of them down. And then the thing that we saw incorporated into the offense was a little bit of Jamison Williams, was a little bit of Jeremy Ruckert and Luke Farrell, and that becomes difficult. And Justin Fields was the ultimate distributor, and he, for the first time all season against Clemson, I believe, relied on the weapons around him, didn't try to put too much on his own shoulders. And when you're playing a team like Alabama, that's exactly what you have to do. Everybody just does their 111th.
I love a good story. And when you guys won the last national championship with a third-string quarterback in the first playoff, that's a great story. Joshua, this story, if this team can go from canceling the season to saving the season to beating Clemson and Bama, what would you make of that story?
You could write a movie. I feel like there are a couple of seasons around Columbus where you could make a legitimate movie about it. This would be one of them. And you've heard it all year long about how much it means to the players and how much it means to the coaching staff to even have an opportunity. And the thing that they always said was just give us a chance. Just give us a chance, and we'll be able to line it up one time against any of the best teams in America, and we think that we can give them our best shot. And that's exactly what they have. They're in the big show. It's a huge opportunity. I remember as I prepared for it, it was amazing. And all you wanted to do was just go out there and give it your all, put out your best. And if you do your best and you do everything you need to do, you might win the game.